questions as well as business questions, so please bring those forward. All right, so Tom, we're going to start off with you. We can get the microphone to work properly. And you will just talk a little bit about the business rationale.
Thank you very much for having me here. Just as a little bit of introduction, HCA is certainly the United States and possibly the world's largest healthcare provider. We have 172 hospitals, multiple hundreds of MRI centers, clinics, medical office buildings, approximately $33 billion company. We have very few physicians that are our employees, probably less than a couple percent. We have approximately 60,000 affiliated physicians spread out across 17 states. How do you get information to people like that? Well, most people, when they watch a show like Grey's Anatomy, seem to think that people, a physician, well, they work in sort of a little departmental area, and they have their little office. It may not be pretty, but they got a place to go and do their study. The reality is most physicians are essentially the modern-day equivalent of migrant farm workers. They may have 3 or 4 offices that they work at. They go into a hospital. They have a lounge. They may have a locker. That's about it. You have physicians, for example, that practice at HCA hospitals over here, Centennial, but they go also and work over at Baptist, which is our competition down the street. So part of our business model is what our volume is driven on is not by patients. That's an important part, but it's doctors that put patients into our beds. So essentially, our business model is the easier we are for a physician to do business with, the more money we're likely to make, the more volume we're going to have. There's also a quality component. Most clinical systems today, they look very good on TV. When they show the CAT scans and all that on house. Reality is most hospitals are driven on paper, and paper is only as good as what's been printed. So what we've done is we've implemented what we think is a major shift of one. It's actually one of several that we're planning, where we believe that we can provide our physicians quality electronic information in a, can't call it real time because it's still a replication type of process. The partner we chose for this is a company called Patient Keeper. There are actually several companies that are in this business. And what they basically do is they interface the data out of what are called health information systems, in our case Meditech, but there's also Cerner, McKesson, and so on. And they have the ability to drive it down to a cellular device. It has to be a Trio or a BlackBerry, no particular brands. They support a large number of these. In there, essentially, there's a database that has clinical information, select clinical information about you. The things a doctor wants to really know that you can put on a portable device are things like your basic demographics. Who this person is, what is their chief complaint, what's their problem list, what's their allergies, what's their medications, what's the lab results. So right there, if we can put that in a device that they can go and check while they're rounding, or I suspect most people here, if you have Trios or BlackBerries, you've been known while you're driving to work to be, slip in a message or two. Doctors actually have stated that some of the most productive time with this device is actually while they're shaving. But they'll replicate and they'll look at stuff. It's a little dangerous, but there's always a little bloodshed in healthcare. This is the only application I can remember in my 30-year career that has gotten fan letters from physicians. Adoption is no problem. Right now, we have 1/3 of our company, 24,000 plus beds that have had this license for it. Of our 60,000 affiliated physicians, we expect at least 50% penetration in that. We don't provide them the Trio or the BlackBerry. They have to provide that due to anti-kickback laws. So this is a pull. All I have to do is basically provide them the data, and they literally they come to us with their device and say, share this with us. Now, Jeff Constantine, who spent a lot of time at HCA, might be surprised. It's the first time that actually a physician in Nashville, or let's say down in South Florida, where our health information systems are set up, you actually have silos of information. Like the northern part of Dade County is one master patient index, and that's sort of like a big library of data. South Dade is a different one. The physician, if they actually were to get to an automated system, up till now would have to sign on to each of these. Different user ID, different password. What this actually does is it blends it all. It shows the physician his information the way he wants to see it. Do you want to see all your diabetic patients? It's one click away. Do you wish to see your rounding report for this hospital? And what's your preference? Do you like to start at the top of the hospital and work your way down, or the other way? Now it's still not a replacement for full screen to go look at an X-ray or a CAT scan or something like that. But to provide information is powerful. There's probably nobody in this room who is not themselves or had a family member who hasn't had to wait around a couple hours in the hospital while they were trying to track down a physician to go sign you out.
I have to say one thing, just since we did work together, unfortunately or fortunately, but we all had big issues with single sign-on, what he's talking about. When you have distinct networks, Meditech networks, and whatever, but to me, that was the biggest issue that people complain about, is that to sign on here or sign on there, different IDs and whatever. To me, that's a huge breakthrough. And of course, physicians drive patient admission. Satisfaction drives more revenues in. It's not rocket science.
This tool actually gives us the ability not only to contact physicians, but you have a patient that has discharged. Typically what the physician would do without this device is say, I've got to go see the most recent lab results in order to release them. Now, on the same device that we basically contact and say, you have something to do, he has that information. Within seconds of it, that information being available in the lab report being done, he gets an alert. It's ready for it. We tag on there things like abnormal results. So even if the doctor, if the doctor is doing rounding, but he has one patient who is going critical, we actually have the ability to alert them to that. So the idea is that health, it's not just, we are interested in business volume. We are interested in being the friend of the physician, but we're also far more interested in the welfare of our patients. That also drives business volume too. But providing them timely information is critical. Now this, as I said, is one of several steps where we're going to try and make access easier. Literally right now, and my business partners in here, they're aware of my network. This is the first application we've ever had that comes from outside into our holy of holies, where you haven't had to step through multiple VPNs and so on, because this has such high security standards, good encryption standards, a very hard certificate architecture. This is the first one we aren't putting through a VPN. Literally, it is one click. You go and you click in and you say you want to be in this application. You authenticate to it, and you're in. And as I said, it's the only product I have that I've ever gotten a family for, and they're not stopping. We have approximately 900 physicians, we think, by the middle of this year we'll be on it. There's about 450 today. But I actually slowed it down to help with them to re-architect the solution of it to be a little bit more scalable for us. And been a great business partner. And we have some other things that we're going to do in this space, and I'll talk about those later. As far as return on investment, we haven't really measured that, but I guess right now I'll say is the level of satisfaction